Attention, all gym owners and personal trainers, you're going to get a new perspective on selling personal training as Jeff Russo shares how to make $1 million in personal training revenue in your fitness business here on the Fitness Business Podcast. Psst, FBP family, do you follow us on social media? I know that it is the best kept secret out there, but you know what? We don't want to keep it a secret from our FitBiz family. So join in the fun and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. You will see our guests, meet the Fitness Business Podcast fanatics, share some laughs with our hosts, and once in a while, JT makes a special appearance. Oh, and one more housekeeping item. If you would be so kind to leave us a review on iTunes, I would certainly appreciate it. Hi, everyone. Welcome back. I'm your host, Dory Nugent, and today my guest is Jeff Russo. Jeff is the creator and co-owner of Pro Fitness Program, which is a fitness business consulting company specializing in personal training sales. Jeff is going to explain how to amp up your personal training sales in a unique way. And he's going to explain the difference between selling memberships and selling fitness. We will hear from Jeff in less than 2 minutes. First, a huge thank you to One Fit Stop for supporting our show.
One Fit Stop is modern fitness studio software built for the growing multi-location studio, providing scheduling, client management, programming, payment collection tools, and more that will set your business up to grow. To find out more, go to onefitstop.com or click on the link in today's show notes.
Thank you, One Fit Stop, and make sure you check them out at www.onefitstop.com.
Get your pen ready now for Keep Me's Fit Bizpiration.
What are your 3 top tips to achieve $1 million+ a year in personal training sales?
Number 1, commit to a way of doing a business and build your club around those core values. Focus on selling fitness, education, results, and support, and don't try to be all things to all people. And so as a result, you'll realize quickly that you need mandatory fitness assessments and that you need to charge a fee for that because there's tremendous value. It may be the best thing that your member could invest in, the education, the support, and the knowledge, and the plan to get them 100% to your goal. Secondly, have a dedicated full-time sales professional selling for your trainers. And of course, create the sales culture and predictable business operating system where everything is tracked. You've got performance incentives and bonuses built in and numbers that are managed on a daily basis. And of course, again, you've got to be honest with yourself. If you don't have the knowledge, time, desire, or ability to do all that, then you need to work with a company who does specialize that and can get you to where you need to go.
Next week, I interview Jessica Maurer, and she discusses how to drive profits with your signature program. Now, after this week's full interview, I'll introduce you to Jessica, and you'll hear how to create and market your signature program. So set a reminder on your phone and come back next week to hear her interview. MyZone has pioneered unique wearables with talking point technology that makes the difference. Reach more members of your community and keep them engaged for longer through motivation and gamification wherever they choose to work out. In the gym, at home, or outdoors, we're stronger together. Get in the zone at myzone.org. Let's transition into this week's interview with Jeff Russo. Today's fitness expert is Jeff Russo. Jeff is the creator and co-owner of Pro Fitness Programs. Now, you're probably saying, what is Pro Fitness Programs? Well, it is a fitness business consulting company specializing in personal training sales. So, Jeff, we can't wait to get all of your consulting advice. Welcome to the show today.
Again, thanks so much for having me. I'm looking really forward to this interview and hopefully, giving some education to the listeners about what it takes to grow a great personal training department.
Well, I think from your quick fire 5 questions from last week, not only are you going to be educational, but you'll have a little bit of an entertainment factor there, which is exciting. So let's get started. I'm going to just hit you with the first question right away. And that is, could you tell our listeners what is the difference between selling memberships and selling fitness?
Yeah, this is really important, and it's a huge difference. Memberships, when you buy and purchase a membership, they simply get you access to space, rental of equipment, and use of facilities like change rooms. They don't get you results. They sure as heck don't guarantee you results. So the problem is that many consumers who are thinking about joining a fitness club accomplish their goal as soon as they register for a membership. Now what? Where do they go from there? That's why, in my opinion, you have such low club usage after the first couple of months and why so many members end up canceling. Selling fitness, on the other hand, selling education, results, and service, that requires trained, skilled fitness business professionals, as well as a solid onboarding process that creates time and an environment to ask questions, to assess that member, and then to prescribe the best possible solution and program to get them results. I'm a big fan of Paul Chek, and he's very fond of saying, it's a big quote from Paul Chek, if you're not assessing, you're just guessing. So I think the key component is to ensure that we educate our members first and foremost, prescribe the best possible program, and sell them something that actually gets them results.
So I really like what you have to say. And listen, everybody wants results. It's super important to make sure that the client sees those results. But let me just ask you, what are your thoughts on how do we change this culture in our business?
Yeah, and it has to start from the top. That's a phenomenal question, Dory. It has to start from the top down. There's got to be buy-in from the owner. So I think the biggest thing right off the start is to change this culture in our business. And I think we have to. It's so crucial. I mean, I think that's why I've dedicated 30 years as a fitness business consultant specializing in the area of personal training sales to change this culture. I've been fighting that battle for many years, is that club owners, first of all, have to decide what kind of club do they want to be. I think the worst thing is to try to be all things to all people, to play in the middle. So where are you going to position yourself first? Okay. So what end of the spectrum? And a simple example is this, and there's nothing wrong with this. So when I use this example, it's okay. I've been to a lot of conferences where, Planet Fitness, they'll have a representative presenting on that. And they said, this is the way we do business. Our goal is to make it as simple as possible for somebody to gain access to a fitness club. Okay. Give them great equipment to work out on, and the rest is up to them. Okay. Is that where you want to position yourself? And here's the next question I have for those listening in. And this is key to this, about changing our culture. Do you believe, as a fitness business professional, that you have a moral obligation to sell something that actually gets people results? And are you then now prepared? If you say yes to that question, are you prepared to deliver on those core values? And secondly, hire people who believe what you believe and put those business systems in place that to support this vision. In other words, can you honestly say in good conscience that memberships get results? And yet that's what we market and that's what we promote. So it starts there. What kind of club do you want to be?
Wow. I'm just sitting here. I'm still back on about, do memberships get results? I like that. That was fantastic. So I love what you have to say. So I'm just going to ask you this. Why do fitness clubs struggle so much with providing their trainers with full-time, financially rewarding careers?
Well, we started to touch on that in the answer to question one, for sure,
Yep.
in those two answers. So that starts. Now let's go into a little bit more detail. I find that, again, traveling across North America and working with hundreds of different independent fitness clubs over all of these years, what I find one of the biggest needs is that clubs don't create business and sales environments, especially for the personal trainers. They probably do it a little bit better in the membership department. And that includes proper goal setting, KPIs, which again are key performance indicators, sales training, and a culture, and creating a culture that says, ladies and gentlemen, we're in two businesses here. First and foremost, we're in the entertainment business. We've got to be the best part of people's day. There's no question about it. You got to be entertaining. You got to be alive. You got to be memorable, exaggerated. And also, don't forget, we're in the sales business. We just happen to be selling personal training. Now, I bet you if you interviewed a lot of people who work in personal training departments and clubs and so forth, they would never say, we're in the sales business, we so happen to be selling personal training. And I can tell you from an example, I owned a club and I was involved in a club in Toronto, Canada, a chain called Extreme Fitness. This was back from 1998 till the late 2000s. Each of our clubs did $4 to $5 million a year in personal training sales. If you would have interviewed anyone on our personal training team, 30 to 40 trainers, they would have told you what I just told you. We created a culture, a competitive environment, a sales culture in the back end. They loved working there. And of course, they loved selling what they were passionate about. Secondly, I want to say, a lot of clubs set unrealistic expectations for their trainers to self-generate business. Think about it. Come out of school with a kin degree, certification. They don't teach sales and business skills. Most trainers get in the industry for service reasons and never see themselves as salespeople. In fact, they may even think that sales is a dirty word or something associated with used car sales, right? So that's really at the essence is creating that culture. And then I think the last thing is they need a dedicated person. And we'll talk a little bit more about this as we go through the interview, to sell for trainers with a sales background. Hence, why in our system, our trained fitness advisors in our system, it's like a feeder system. And I've had fitness consultants in that sales role sell themselves $1 million in personal training sales out of a 10 by 10 office in a year. So that's something to consider as well, because again, trainers by their very nature are service minded. And out of maybe if you hire 50 to 100 trainers, most won't want to do the sales. And a lot of them are not good at it as well. So I think that really answers your question.
Okay. So you think, to recap, you think that clubs struggle so much with providing their trainers rewarding careers is because they expect them to sell. Am I hearing you right, or am I wrong?
Yeah, you're touching on a couple of things. So they expect them coming out with this education, supposedly the certification or the kin or kinesiology degree, phys ed degree, expecting to have these business skills, expecting them to have these sales skills, and say, hey, we'll put you on the floor. Why don't you self-generate off the floor? And you know what? There are the occasional trainers who do that well. And this is a good question, right, Dory? Because even if you have in my experience, maybe 1 out of 30, 1 out of 40, I'm talking great salesperson. Guess what happens? They sell for themselves. They're booked up. They're out of the game. So goes your personal training department. You can't grow. So we'll talk a little bit more as we go through the interview about this dedicated, person, this fitness advisor who's selling for personal trainers. I think that's a huge part, because I've had single-handedly fitness consultants, like I said, who've sold $1 million and single-handedly will fill up the schedules of trainers to a full-time basis. That's pretty central to our PFP program.
You're right. Like, you get 1 or 2 trainers that are really, really good at selling. The rest want zero to do with selling, and then they struggle, and I think they become frustrated. So I can't wait to hear your advice on how to fix this problem. So,
and Dory, just on that point, they're just as valuable, right? You need both in your club. You need sales and service. You need a balance of that. So their roles to service and retain and renew their clients, they are super valuable to our retention, to our referrals, all of that. But not all people are good in all things. So you've got to specialize, and clubs do not specialize. They expect their people to be able to do all these things really, really well. How many of us can do all things well?
That's true. That's true. So I know I'm just dying for you to tell us. So how do we get clubs to specialize in selling personal training?
Yeah, I think, the key is the reason why fitness clubs struggle so much with selling personal training is because, number one, they don't have a predictable operating system in place. Okay. And no sales culture for the back ends. So I don't know how many of the listeners have read. It's a fantastic business book. I didn't, recommend it as my book in the first one, but the E-Myth, right? The Entrepreneurial Myth by Michael Gerber. We know that the product of any successful business, it's not what it sells, but how it sells it. You have to have a predictable operating system. Example, McDonald's. It's not the Big Mac that makes McDonald's. It's the consistency and the predictability, of rolling that consistent across the country, that same hamburger out time and time again. It's the system that McDonald's is all about, or that the production line, the automobile industry is all about for Henry Ford. So I think that's where it starts. They struggle because they don't have a predictable business system and process that says, if 100 members join, we know that we can get this many people assessed. And out of that, we know 30% will convert to an average personal training package of, say, 48 sessions, producing this much revenue. They don't have that onboarding, that flow, and that structure to track it, right? So I would say, if you ask 10 club owners to list out right now, list out the 5 major or 6 major revenue streams for your personal training department that could generate sales daily. And then secondly, indicate to me how you'd execute in those areas and track everything. I guarantee you, because I talk to club owners all the time, probably less than 30% would be able to do it. I'm sure they could do it though for their membership departments. That's an area where kind of they do a much better job in these areas. So I think that's why they struggle with this.
All right. So you're recommending that clubs, they have their sales staff selling the memberships. But now are you recommending that you find a separate person that just sells personal training?
Absolutely. There's no other way to reach. And, people could check my records in the history and what we've done. We've taken numerous clubs anywhere from $1 million to $5 million a year in one-on-one personal training, not even 30 sessions, but one-on-one. In each of those scenarios over all the years, it has been a dedicated 1, 2, or 3 people, depending on the volume of the club, who are trained fitness professionals. They have the balance, but they're mostly sales trained. They're really good that sell for trainers and feed trainers. That's the only way you're going to do what Michael Gerber says, get that predictability and consistency and have somebody available to be able to assess and sell for those trainers. And again, that person shouldn't be booking themselves up. If their greatest strength is sales, relationship building, communication, and being able to close for trainers, that person could be your most valuable person on your team, your MVP.
MVP. All right. So walk me through this. Member comes through the doors, sales department gets them first, gets them joined, gets them registered, and then hands them off to the personal training sales consultant?
That's correct. They're going to book that consultation in our system with our program. We have multiple checkpoints over 8 weeks. We call it our 8-week onboarding experience. So they have 2 consultations 8 weeks apart. But at the first point, a member is going to be booked in for a consultation. Now, in most of my clubs, we charge for that consultation because there's greater value. When you pay for something, you understand why you're showing up, you value your education. My clubs that are most successful in this program actually charge above and beyond the membership a fitness consultation fee. And they have different options of how many they can do. Because I find for myself, Doria, you probably believe this too, having one assessment without anything to compare it to, it's like a benchmark. It's no value to the client. So great, you're comparing it against yourself. What do you do now with this information? So yes, they transition. The fitness advisor takes over within 2, 3, 4 business days. They've completed that first assessment. And that's the thing, right? Like clubs have to be really good about these transitions and these handoffs, kind of like a relay race when you're passing a baton. If you don't have great communication and good transition and you drop that baton or you hand out outside the transfer zone in a relay race, that's how you lose. That's how you lose a race. And it's the same thing here. You have to be great with those transitions.
Why are so many clubs afraid to prescribe more expensive and larger personal training packages to the members?
That is a fantastic question. And the industry truly struggles. Now, I can only speak for the industry, for your listeners here in North America. Probably, 70% of my business in the United States of America, the remaining in Canada. So, first of all, I could tell you right off the bat that most clubs are afraid to prescribe based on evidence and truth. Okay, prescribing based on evidence and truth. They sell typically based on price. And when they get any resistance, right, because first of all, remember, go back to some of the earlier responses. They've got the wrong people trying to sell personal trainers. Trainers get any objections, any resistance, that's it. They're either dropping the prices, they're offering free sessions, or even worse than that, they start even discounting their personal training sessions. So you start seeing them right away offering 30-minute sessions, 15-minute sessions. Not a lot of benefit for clients when you start reducing it, but they're forced to do that because they're afraid to prescribe based on a proper assessment, evidence, and truth, right? So secondly, they need to have a proper onboarding and assessment process in place and have a protocol that allows new clients to get educated and understand. And listen to what I'm going to say. This relates back to spin selling, the sales book I recommended earlier by Neil Rackham. They need to allow clients to get educated because we're not just going to sell memberships. We're interested in selling education, results, and knowledge. That's what people need to invest in. There's millions of dollars of equipment. What good is it to a client if they don't know how to use it properly, how to vary their programs to get those results? It's like me going to drive at NASCAR or Formula One and they give me this $1 million race car. I've got no lessons, no training, and I can't take it around the track properly with the right speed. Same thing here. So we need to get clients to understand their problems and obstacles, preventing them from achieving results on their own. You need to develop those clients' problems from what may be implied needs to what they call explicit needs, and that can take some time. Mm-hmm. So what I want to challenge the listeners with is think about your experience with other healthcare professionals. Let's talk about a physiotherapist or a chiropractor. do they prescribe based on price? And do they apologize for their prescriptions? We seem to be the only industry in health and fitness that does this. Do they negotiate their rates, right? So if I'm in a car accident and I go in, the physiotherapist says it's going to, based on this assessment, it's going to take this many sessions and this many weeks, and they don't care what the price is, right? That's based on me to find a way to pay for that or whatever else. They're just going to prescribe, getting back to it again, right? The truth based on the evidence. And so, Dory, what's the you're in the Florida area. What's the name of your organic food grocery store in your area? Up here, it's Whole Foods. We've got Whole Foods, very expensive organic grocery store.
Yep, you're right. We have Whole Foods down here.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. If you shop there and you go to the checkout counter, right, and you have all this incredible organic food in that cart, and you check out and they start ringing it up in the cash register, and all of a sudden it's like $500-$600. Do you sit there and say, can we negotiate on that? I can't really afford this. Who does that? The only place this happens, and it drives me crazy. That's why I've been fighting this fight for over 30 years to change the culture. Please prescribe based on the evidence and don't apologize for your prescription. But I think, again, it always goes back to the last thing, right? They're not going to do it because they don't have seasoned, trained sales professionals who are confident, asking for the sale, and dealing with objections. And I would never have that in one of my clubs.
I already presume that I'm paying more for groceries at Whole Foods, yet it's funny because you take that into personal training and it's like you fight yourself on wanting to pay more for personal training.
Exactly. You're 100% right. And that's why analogies are important, right? I think analogies work really, really well. Another great analogy for you listeners who have somebody sitting in front of you and they're considering investing in a large personal training package, they're sitting on the fence. You tell me something in life that you didn't commit to, that didn't require a financial commitment, that you were going to do well. Let's talk college, for instance. When you were ready to go to college, massive tuition fees and so forth, were you able to just attend for free, or did you have to put down your tuition? You didn't know if you were going to pass or fail, succeed or not, but part of the commitment was paying down that money and getting started on the program. Well, fitness is no different. It's not like trying on a pair of jeans where if it doesn't fit, you don't like it. You know it's going to be hard work. There's going to be time involved. And when people say to me, Jeff, it's too expensive, the first thing I say is, exactly, that's why you should do it.
You make so many good points. It's funny how you put it in those terms, like, yeah, college, you pay for it up front. What's the expectation? So I like that very much. It's all about expectation and forces you to stay on track. But isn't it amazing how many people will pay for that personal training and they'll shell out big money and then never attend or find every possible excuse not to attend? I find that mind-blowing.
Yeah, and I find, obviously, that typically happens a lot more with membership. That's why, again, I'm not a big fan of just selling memberships, because when people buy a membership, they tend not to use the facilities. But a lot of that responsibility, what you're talking about, has to do with the trainers, right? So the trainers have to remember that they've got to be entertaining, they've got to be engaging, they've got to be best part of that individual's day, and they've got to periodize those programs and progress those programs and vary it and change it up. If that person believes that they could be doing this after 8 sessions or 12 sessions or 24 sessions on their own, you haven't done your work as a personal trainer. Are you telling me you went to school for a 4-year degree, you did all your certifications, and now this person that's training with you knows everything you know in that 12 weeks? I really hold the trainers accountable to that, to raise the bar. And I know a lot of the trainers out here are phenomenal trainers, and they keep their trainers. Look, I know in some of my clubs that I've been consulting with for 20 years, some people might find this hard to believe. I can verify. You can call these clubs. I have personal trainers who've been training the same client for 20 years straight. They sell 144 sessions a year. That's 3 times a week for 48 weeks. And they've been training like that for 20 years straight. And I believed years ago that people would have personal trainers like they have their accountants, like they have their lawyers, their doctors, their mechanics. It is going to be a part of their life, and it's happening. And I'm excited to see that.
My goodness, Jeff, we could honestly, I think, have you on here talking about this literally for like 2 hours. You have a wealth of information, and we're so grateful that you came on today and shared it with everybody.
Oh, thanks so much. It's been a pleasure. Thanks for really having me. And I just, last thing that I'd like to say to everyone who's listening in is that, realize what you have to offer and how valuable you are as a fitness business professional. Okay. Don't undersell yourself. And what you have to offer is invaluable. It's probably the best investment that people can make in their lives. Okay. So for me, it's important that you guys step it up and change this culture and start selling and sell yourself, sell large packages, sell large plans, come alongside people for life. Start thinking about training, like I've said before, training for life. You have this tremendous opportunity. You've spent all these years in terms of education. You've got this passion. Why not have a financially rewarding career doing what you love?
Hey, hats off to Jeff Russo for delivering such a profitable message. If you would like to reach out to Jeff to learn more, his contact details are located in the show notes, which can be seen at fitnessbusinesspodcast.com. Or when you subscribe to the show notes, better idea, they are emailed directly to you. Subscribe to the show notes at fitnessbusinesspodcast.com. In 30 seconds, I will introduce you to our amazing upcoming guest, Jessica Maurer, who will be joining me next week.
Did you know that the active ingredient in most disinfecting wipes has well-documented lung, skin, and reproductive health concerns? That active ingredient is called a quaternary ammonium compound, or a quat, not necessarily something you'd want in a health and wellness facility. VaporFresh disinfecting gym wipes avoid all quats and instead use an innovative citric acid chemistry to disinfect. Even with this greener chemistry, VaporFresh is still EPA registered to disinfect 99.9% of surfaces. VaporFresh is trusted by some of the most premier gyms and college rec centers nationwide. With 1,200 wipes per roll and 4 rolls per case, they offer an unbeatable value per wipe. Order today at vaporfresh.com or Amazon.
Quickfire 5.
I cannot wait for all of you to listen to Jessica Maurer's episode next week. But in the meantime, let's find out more about Jessica with her Quickfire 5 answers. Hey, it is time for Quick Fire 5 with next week's guest, Jessica Maurer. Jessica is a fitness business consultant and strategist. Jessica, welcome to the Fitness Business Podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, we're so excited that you're here and I get to ask you your 5 fun questions. So let's get started. Question number 1, what is a life lesson that you have learned from the pandemic?
I really learned to give myself permission to pause. I always thought that slowing down and pausing was a form of punishment, that I had done something wrong. And I think that the great pause of 2020 really taught me that it's actually quite a restorative gift to be able to slow down enough to think and then slow down enough to be strategic and not just be so reactive and continue to throw spaghetti at the wall, but actually kind of slow down and come back to what makes you you and what you have to offer. And I think that was the biggest gift and the biggest lesson that I learned.
Oh, well, I'm sure you have a lot to offer. So I'm glad you figured that out. That's fantastic. Question number 2, here we go. If you could play a character in any movie, what character would it be?
So I had a really hard time deciding on this one. And the character that I actually picked is in a movie that's not out quite yet, but it's from the Gunslinger series from Stephen King, and they're making it into a movie currently. And Susanna Dean is one of the characters who has split personalities, and she takes this really aggressive personality with this really demure and sweet personality and creates this new human life out of these 2 dichotomies. And I absolutely loved the idea of being able to take 2 completely different worlds, what seems like 2 completely different journeys, and merge them together to create something that she really wanted to be and a person that she really wanted to be known as. And I really loved that character. So in the future, that's the character I want to play.
Okay, so we're not going to see that in next week's interview then?
Definitely not.
Okay, here we go. Number 3. Please complete this statement. Sunday morning, you can find me
listening to Dixieland jazz and making waffles. Sunday is my restorative day. I turn on jazz first thing in the morning when I get up. All I want to hear is horns. And I start making waffles for my little kiddo and my husband. We have a Pokemon waffle iron, so it makes the waffles taste so much better, of course. And we have just a really easy, slow Sunday morning.
Okay. So on Sundays, how about maybe if you're reading a book, could you give all of our listeners your best book recommendation and why they should read it?
I actually think the best book you should read is the one that you write. And what I mean by that is keeping some type of journal, some type of gratitude journal, or just in a place where you can write down your thoughts in the moment, because reflecting back on those times can be so transformational for you, not just in terms of your career, but just a professional development and a personal development area as well. So go back and read your own story and read what you've gone through and read what you've survived through and how you've changed to become resilient. And I think that is far more powerful than the worlds that you can explore outside of yourself.
What a unique answer. Very nice. All right, here we go. This is your big chance. It's your elevator pitch. I need you to tell all of our FBP listeners out there why they should come back next week to hear your episode.
I have made all of the mistakes. All of them. I have spent all of my time and effort and energy tripping over myself and tripping over others. And I have made the mistakes that you may be currently making or about to make. So let me help you stop yourself from going down that path. Let me help you save your time, your effort, and your energy, and figure out a much better way to live as a fitness professional and as a business entity within yourself. Take it from me. I've been there. I've done that. I've made the mistake. You can learn from my lessons and figure out how to move forward.
Outstanding. Well, we can't wait for your episode next week. It's going to be with Jessica Maurer. It's entitled Your Signature Program Will Drive Profits. Looking forward to it next week, Jessica.
Hey, Fitness Business Podcast family, Sarah Pellegrino here, your host of The Value Proposition. Each month, I'm bringing you an insightful conversation with a different supplier so you can learn the value they bring to the industry above and beyond their product or service. Don't miss this month's episode, The Value Proposition for Stopping Tailgaters and Protecting Profits with Cameo, going live Friday, September 17th. We explore this innovative tailgating solution, discuss how it helps owners and managers with mask detection and social distancing, as well as manage theft and gym area usage. Download episode 387 of the Fitness Business Podcast, The Value Proposition for Stopping Tailgaters and Protecting Profits, anywhere you listen to your podcasts or from our website. You can watch the vodcast on our YouTube channel or on our website, fitnessbusinesspodcast.com.
Fitness family, I'm telling you, you're going to love next week's show. Jessica shares the importance of having a signature program at your facility. Make sure you subscribe to the show on your favorite podcast player, or even better yet, let us do the work for you and we'll send you the show. Subscribe at fitnessbusinesspodcast.com. All right, everybody, you know we are well on our way to 1 million downloads. Oh yeah, raise the roof. It's a party. And we need your help to get us there. So if there's a guest that you think just absolutely slam dunk, hit it out of the park, please tell your friends to download the show or share your raving review on one of our many social media pages. We can't do it without you. Thank you to our founding partner, Active Management. Our partners, Keep Me, MyZone, Discover Strength, Tribe, Team Training, and One Fit Stop. And we can't forget our advertisers, Rex Roundtables, MX Metrics, and Vaporfresh. We believe what you leave behind is not what's engraved in stone monuments, but woven into the lives of others.